our last session, which is the discussion panel related to AI for accessibility and the role for startups. Now, Mr. Roberto will be the moderator, so maybe I'll introduce you quickly and you can introduce your team. So Mr. Roberto is the Managing Director of Microsoft for Startups in the Middle East and African region. So the floor is yours. You can start, and thank you everyone for staying until now.
Thank you, Larissa. It's always a pleasure to cross paths with Inclusive and the team at Inclusive. So thank you, Saira and Saba, as well, for sharing what you're doing in the region. It's inspiring, and keep it up. We are here to support as well what you're doing. It's fantastic. So thank you, Larissa, and the organizers as well for inviting me and the team here. We have a panel now focusing more on AI, artificial intelligence for accessibility, but from the angle of startups. So first of all, allow me to introduce this fantastic panel, great founders, great entrepreneurs. I don't know where to start from, so I will just go clockwise from the top. So we have Mohammad Kilany. You are a co-founder of Mind Rockets. We have Nandu Jith, and finally pronounced correctly, founder of Nexart. And we have the one and only Jose Rubinger, co-founder of Key to Enable. Maybe I will start. First of all, let's start from you guys. If you can share, what inspired you to build your startup, what you're currently doing, and then if you can share a little bit the story and what you do with your startup. Again, I would respect this order. So let's start with Mohammad.
Sure. So our startup was started actually by my co-founder when he was back in school. He was at 10th grade. From there, it was like 8 years ago, and it was inspired by his teacher. And this is where the role of a teacher is actually crucial. So just a simple message, he was telling him, no one is doing anything for the deaf community. This is something you should focus on. And he started working on it from that time, little bit by little bit through university. And then we met and we continue to work. Our main idea is to help organizations become deaf friendly. Because this is something that most people don't know, is over 80% of the deaf community cannot actually read and write beyond the very basic level. So for them, if they go to a website and they see all this text, most of them above 80%, they cannot read it, they cannot understand it, because their mother language is sign language. And this is where our technology comes in. We made avatars that would translate text to sign language. So this is very briefly about what we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mohammad. Nandu, I know that you have also a very nice story, because also maybe due to COVID, you pivoted from a glove, so hardware, to something else. So we are all ears to listen to your story as well.
So what happened for us was like, we had this thought, the visual recognition apps that are out there in the market. So it's not able to detect all the objects, because the models that you use for this visual recognition, it takes a lot of space. You need a lot of time to train them. So this is one of the biggest problems in visual recognition. So there was this one project that we started very early on when we were working for a client. So it was a very small project, but we stumbled on just one single thought. I mean, instead of trying to build this huge bundle, why not just break it down into micro bundles and put the whole labeling part onto a cloud? So basically the system, because if you imagine for yourself as an example, if you go into an Italian restaurant, so you already know the location that you can get from the maps. You're going to an Italian restaurant, so you know those keywords. You are going to an Italian restaurant, you know what the foods will be. So you already have those keywords. So why do we have to put them in one bundle? You can have them somewhere, and you can just have the app redirect to these micro bundles. What's necessary, get them, just discard the rest. So the app won't be slowed down. It will be able to detect a whole lot of objects. This was the core idea that we started with. And the first thing that came to our mind was this can actually help people with blindness, because it will be able to detect a whole lot of objects. And also, it will be kind of like the proof of our concept. So Jose also knows this. Like, we started with the app, then we also had a glove. So we had these features, everything built in as kind of like the proof of concept. The glove was able to judge the distance of these objects. So it was a hardware. Then we had an app So it kind of had object detection, then it was able to read the text, recognize objects, understand scenarios. So if the user picks up a book, the app is able to know, all right, and ask the person whether it needs to read the book or not. So it was kind of the whole thought. But then the COVID situation came about. And that was one of the things, like when we had this mentorship, some of the, our mentors who taught us like marketing is everything. And we were trying to market a product to an audience who was not able to actually see it. So it became a very hard problem that we needed to solve. The only way was have a word of mouth marketing so wide that people get to know about it. So what we did was we shifted from the hardware, because for the time being it did not seem feasible. We focused on the app, then we expanded the app, the solution, to a platform. So IWA is right now an AI platform where people can come in, like students, developers. They can come in, they can create their own data sets, they can train their own models. So we have put our app template up there, so they can download our app template, put those models in, and they can create their own app. So that's it. So on the side, they are also putting models on our platform, and we are using all those models for detection in the app that we have built for the people with blindness. And for the marketing side, what we did was, so as like you and me, like we have been students, so we always try to find the easiest way. So this is kind of like the end of a semester. So there are like a lot of projects that people want to do, students want to do, and they are trying to get an easy way out. We contacted one of the college, we got these amazing 10 guys, we offered them internship, they came in, they started working, they got some other students in, they started working, we did some few events with them, and they got interested. So they basically started testing the platform, and that's how actually the whole pivoting started. And right now, IWA is a platform. So where this, right now, in a nutshell, IWA is a platform where students, developers can come in, they can create computer vision models. So we will be training it from our side for the time being, but we'll be automating that process. And we will be providing the templates as well. So where they can use our templates, or they can use their own code, and they can integrate our models to their code. And in between that, they're actually helping people with blindness as well, because whatever data sets they create is actually helping the app detect with more accuracy on the side. So the revenue model is from the platform, but the app is creating a social impact value as well on the other side. That's all.
This is fantastic, Nandu. I mean, what we hear so far from Mohammad, Nandu is real examples as well of what entrepreneurship is about, right? So he's focusing on real problems, but also the resilience, perseverance, right? With COVID, the pivoting during hard situations, which is also inspiring other people and listening to customers. So you're summarizing with your story, I mean, some of the pillars of what entrepreneurship is really about. So I'm just setting the stage to keep the bar high for Jose and tell us his story as well. So Jose, with Key to Enable, I know your story inside out, but I don't know if the audience have seen some of the videos of the people you are helping. Tell us what inspired Key to Enable to start from, and how you are helping people of determination.
Yes, thank you so much, Roberto. Thank you so much, Microsoft, and thank you so much everything that is happening right now. And actually, I'm very happy because Nandu and Inclusive, Hafsa, they were part of this beautiful program that was called the first social impact incubator here in the region. And that's why I came from Brazil to live here in the UAE. And as you said, we are perseverance, so I'm still here. And I had a great time with these guys, and we could talk a lot. We could understand each other's problems or each other's solutions, and it was very interesting. And I like to say that everybody knows us because of our solution. We call it KeyX. So it's a keyboard that enables people of determination, children with disabilities, people that usually cannot touch a regular keyboard to use the computer at all. But of course, this is only one part of the solution. So we have a lot of things. We have many accessories. We can make a person that can only blinks to use a computer at all. So they can use smartphones and everything like that. And we also have this educational platform. But as Nandu did, before we created this. So before we wanted to teach music to children because we knew that this could change a human being, but it was how do I say? It was in 2007, so we were very ahead at that time, and we had to do something different. So I had to pivot. Actually, in Brazil, we didn't know this word pivot yet. Now we know how and what it means. So that's how we started everything.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Jose. I mean, your stories are inspiring because it tells that, you know, accessibility might mean different things to different people. There are people that close their eyes, think about accessibility is, I don't know, design buildings and structures with accessibility in mind. There are other people that think about compliance standards. Actually, accessibility is great because it's about building for everyone, right? So I'm also honored to work for a company like Microsoft that really embeds this in the core values and principles of development. So when it comes to technology, one thing I'm curious about to start with, and then I have a couple of questions, but one thing that I'm curious about to learn from you is how do you leverage or include people of determination, people with disabilities in the development process of your product? So Jose, you started saying something, also Nandu, but maybe starting from Mohammad, how do you see that happening and how do you intentionally build for that?
Absolutely. So for us, this was a major milestone. At the beginning, you tend to start building something for what you expect to be the problem. But it is a whole different story when you get people on board with you who are actually facing these challenges and they guide the process. And not only by having them as users or expert users, but actually as being part of the building team. So we're always very proud. When we go to the team slide, we say, these are the three most important people. And we don't talk about me or Mahmoud. We talk about these people who are actually taking control because they drive the company spirit. And we learn a lot from them. And it is amazing. You know, you get into a completely new structure, a new culture, and you learn new things from people. So for us, three colleagues are deaf. They are actually responsible for the whole quality assurance, for review, for even teaching the machine, because sign language is a beautiful language, but it has its own structure. So if you say in sign language, if you are talking, you are saying the boy went to school, or in Arabic, let's say ذهب الولد إلى المدرسة, it's different. It is signed differently. You start with boy went to school and you remove some part of it. So a single word might have multiple meanings. So they will look at the output, they will adjust it using the tools that we have created with them, and they will also have their part in the animation process. And it has been one of the major things that have driven us in the right path. So one thing, for example, our avatar will go on screen and it will have a background. The background color was gray. So I was thinking, it is an ugly color. Why put a gray background behind the avatar? Let's make it transparent. And we went into making it transparent. It took us maybe, my partner Mahmoud, he worked for another 4 or 5 days during holiday. We came up with a transparent background. When we went for the testing and we showed it to the deaf, they said, no, this is not good, because now if the background has different colors, the fingers will not be accurate. So they drive the development with their feedback, with their knowledge, and you become more humble as a student, as knowing that you cannot build it without them. So this is one thing from our experience, actually.
That's amazing. And you touch base on one thing that is common to hear when we work with startups, right, with entrepreneurs, is this concept of experimentation, and you mentioned testing. So this is very important, actually, to mention, and even also with people of determination, and you're keeping these principles, but actually you're making them part of this development process. Okay. So Nandu, from your experience, how do you see involving them, in including people in the process, and maybe also, as you mentioned, AI, there are a lot of consideration about ethical AI, right? So there is a lot of biases that comes when you develop the algorithms and the code. So how you are taking that into consideration to remove as much as possible bias from that?
Yeah, we had that problem while we were developing the app as well. So we had a similar experience, just like Mohammad. So what we did was we created a beta version of the app, and we got into touch with some of the organizations over here who help people with blindness. There are also schools who have people teaching over there. So we went and met them personally when there was a period where there was a break in between last year. So that was an opportunity for us. So we actually went and met a lot of people personally, talked to them, because there was a stereotype where they do not want to approach us. When we go and talk to them about new technology, they are not susceptible to that. They are like, no, we don't need this. So we have to tell them, we have to convince them, ask them to try it and then give their feedback. So what we wanted was to get their feedback. Eventually, we had around, I think, 72 people kind of forming a group. So we had people from Bangalore and the state here and outside as well. So people, many of the people actually, there were a lot of no's in that as well, but there was a lot of yeses as well. So the people who came in, who literally gave a lot of good feedback. I mean, they were like, no, you don't need that. You don't need that over there. You don't need that. You need this, and you need this. So this feedback actually helped us make the platform much better. And about this, the privacy. So what we did was inside the platform, the primary thing that we did was we created a kind of a relationship between these categories and the objects. We also created a different category which categorized the whole bundles into either personal bundles or just generic bundles or some product of some brand. So the personal bundles that are created in the platform are only accessible to the particular user. So that becomes the private property of that particular user. It's not shared by anybody else. Only those bundles which are created as generic or as a product in relation, only those are available to all the others. So that's how we answered that problem that we had. It was one of the biggest problems that we came up with. Everybody was asking that question, like, where is our privacy setting for this? So we said that through the app, only these bundles are accessible for this particular function. So all these private items that you have, it will remain private on the platform. And the feedback, that's really important, because from their perspective, a lot of things that we thought that it was required was not required, and a lot of things that we thought were not required, it was actually required. So it's that actually helped through the process, and it's a wonderful thing to speak to them again and again. So they give that in return.
That's great. I mean, great learning seeing what you're saying. I mean, sometimes you learn more about yourself, looking through yourself through others, and also asking questions what we are not doing and not just what we are doing to make it better, right? So yeah. This is great. Jose, to you, same kind of questions, but I love what you're doing also, because I feel I learn what you're doing through stories of people, right? So it's not like the marketing stuff. Hey, meet this persona. I mean, there is real people. The videos that you're doing are great to really show what you're doing. So. How do you involve how do you get to involve the people, create that empathy, but also what impact do you envisage for Key to Enable in the future?
Okay, I like to tell stories.
I know.
And as we started trying to teach children the music theory, so it was like a math thing, we were not expecting that children with disability would use it, because at that time we didn't have that much experience with that. So what made me do this change to everything was when we went to a rehabilitation center, because we were invited to try our solution with this children with disabilities. We found more than 200 children with many kinds of disabilities, and we really didn't know what was going to happen. It was like amazing. It was, I still can see that for so many years, because all of them were very interested. It doesn't matter if one was not talking, it doesn't matter if one was not walking, it doesn't matter what is the kind of disability that they had, but they were very interested and they engaged, and the sound came. So I decided that I had to do more about it. And the universe made me meet someone. His name is Gleison. He lives near our city there in Brazil. and he was born with cerebral palsy, and he was the one who graduated in computer science using a head pointer, something that you connect to the head to type in the keyboard. And together with him, we created the KX, or the concept. So he had the concept. He wanted to make something that he could use the computer without asking someone to hit the @ symbol for him. So he wanted more autonomy, and because he was involved in all of this, we knew how to build. We know the pain from inside. And then what happened was we went to many rehabilitation centers in the school, and we learned from all these children, the teachers and the caretakers and the people that were with them. So you asked me what we think about it. We have just launched another product, because when we go to the schools, we always see someone that is struggling to use technology, and then what we do, we go again to the lab, we are engineers, and then we create something, and then we come up with another solution. So we have just launched it in Brazil. It will come here to the region very soon. And this is what I have to tell. We have to create something for them, because if we do not do it, who will do?
No, that's amazing. And you know, one common element in your stories is that we are talking about AI and technology and AI for accessibility, but at the end of the day, technology is the means to an end, right? So what I take away from your stories is also that it all starts with people, humans, and observing and spending time with them and understanding the real needs, and you know, there is nothing really new under the sun here. So the other consideration is that there is also a business element to this. So we have recently shared a study done with Accenture, where the study reveals that companies that embrace best practices for employing and supporting more people with disabilities in their workforce have outperformed their peers, whether in terms of revenues or net income or profit margins. So you know, it's also very important to embrace these, not just for a, you know, societal impact, which of and human desire of helping others, but it's also for you know, for from a pure business perspective, there is a lot of value in that, right? So it's like if you don't design for accessibility, you're excluding a large segment of population that could be your customers, employees. And it's like saying 1/5 person that walks in your door, you're saying, I don't really want your business, right? So it's also important from that angle as well. With that, I have a final questions for all of you. If you can keep it short, we have still probably 6-7 minutes left. So given that you are involved into that, you invested and risked it, I mean, yourself, your time, and in building startups, right? That are trying to solve for real problems for including more people. What breakthrough you anticipate in the future that will support people of determination to have equitable access to society? I'll start with Mohammad, and then we'll go around.
This is a very tricky part. Talking about the future is always not easy, but I think one of the key challenges that creators of technology are facing is actually sustainability. And because, as you have said, you are mentioned, it needs a really big shift in the mindset itself. And we have noticed this as we grew in our company. So at first we started, okay, we want to create something that solves this problem, but this is not enough. The main element of the shift is how can you actually provide revenue from these technologies so it becomes sustainable and you can grow. And this is actually one of the big challenges. And for this, we need to think the other way around. I try to think about it as not only helping the deaf community, because they are also helping us, but also we are creating something like superpowers. We are making super companies. How? Is because for the first time in history, you have technologies that are giving superpowers for organizations to become accessible. For the first time, an organization can talk into so many different languages, to so many, with the click of a button. They can actually, a deaf person can understand what they are saying through sign language technologies. The same thing through text to speech. So this is the way I'd like to think about it, is that we are providing new superpowers for the organizations, and we need to clarify to the organizations, as you have said, there are studies that actually, and I have to go to a number here, you know, like 88% of consumers, they mentioned that they were more likely to buy from a company that supports and engages in activities to improve society. And another thing is, it's all about perception. So we think that it is the reputation of the product, but it is not always the case. In reality, it is the reputation of the company that perceives the product. So in another study, it mentions that when you are, when a person wants to decide whether to go and buy something, he will look for the reputation of the company, the brand of the company itself. 60% said they were affected by the company itself, whether you want to invest in it, you want to work in it, as you have said. So I think this is one area that we have to look at as companies in the future. And how can we add value not only to people with disabilities, but also to organizations, and to make it more sustainable and move forward.
Awesome. Yeah, completely agree, Mohammad. Thank you. Nandu, Jose, anything you want to add to these questions to this point?
I think the one point that we always see is that any solution that we try out in the market, everywhere at any point, everybody is looking to get value out of it. So if we just focus on one sector and then we forget about the other sector, we won't be able to get it sustainable. The core important part of building any solution to help anybody is we have to make it sustainable. At the end of the day, it has to be sustainable. So if there is a problem that, if making a product that can actually help somebody, but there is no way that we can actually make it sustainable in that sector, we have to expand our, the whole vision or the concept, and make sure that maybe if we can put this, the whole concept, maybe reshape it and put it in some other sector and get drive value out of it, then that is helping one sector as well as getting value out of the other one as well. And we can actually market as well from that point. So solutions like that actually, I think, will work. And that's what we need to focus on, creating those solutions which can interlink sectors together.
Yeah, this is where you get also scale, and sustainability, as you were saying, is very important. Yeah, thank you, Nandu. And Jose, any last point you want to make?
Just adding to that, Nandu is very right about it, because when we thought about the product, we thought about health tech, because we went to the rehabilitation center. So first we didn't think about education, but then we had to understand that education, that health tech, some assistive devices, they could be used to educate these children. So again, we had to move, from one category to the other, but again, they are together, connected. And something that you said about this universal design, we tried to do something that not only people of determination, people with disabilities could use. They actually, what is happening right now inside the schools that we are, is that kids without disabilities are helping their peers. And this is how it is working, and it's working very well, and we want to repeat this here in the region.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jose. So mindful of time, I will just wrap up, and then I will ask Larissa and the team if there is time for questions. But basically, we have heard from the words and the stories of Mohammad, of Nandu, and Jose here, that accessibility is real, and that's a great takeaway. I mean, and accessibility can have a huge impact on our lives, because it's the lives of people of determination is also our lives. Accessibility is essential to enable transformative change around the world. And now more than ever, we need to make it a priority by ensuring that inclusion is woven into every single thing we do. We like it to say here that we want to build products that we build for everyone, right? So, and we used to say also that in the past you had to adapt to the world. In the future, the world will adapt to you, right? So, and working together with partners, customers, we can collectively use technology to unlock powerful solutions and design and build greater innovations for everyone. So I've been personally inspired by the panel session today. I hope you have been too. And Larissa, tell me, yeah, you're there. So let me know if we still have time, if there are questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you so much for this panel. It was really interesting, and we really need, like all the organization needs, really to build for everyone solutions, not just for specific people. And we really need to check the need of the user before we try to solve the solution. So thank you so much for this panel. I think let's maybe if anyone has a question, let's go into the LinkedIn event, and there you can ideate, you can ask questions for experts, and we can support you to find teams, to find AUB members, or also to maybe make sure that your idea would really maybe include artificial intelligence in it. So once again, I can tell you that you can check the AUB website in order to check all the requirements for the hackathon. You should also apply before June 4. And if you have any question, our team is here. You can drop us an email or send us a LinkedIn message, and we could support you. Thank you so much for all the panelists, and thank you for everyone and for the team for making this a success. And hopefully by the end of this month, we would check what our talent, maybe our region talent, would have for our users. Thank you so much. If anyone has any last maybe call, you can go ahead. Other than this, thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone.